Kennedy.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
And young enough to do.
well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Kennedy. Kennedy.
Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view? Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Cause it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Kennedy. Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy, 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 for me.
Kennedy. Kennedy.
Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy, and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy,
Welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of the United States, at least still for now, Western Hemisphere, North American continent on this planet Earth, a very active planet Earth, the only one we have. Third rock from the sun, the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This Kennedy Effect live with you, TKE tonight, live with you for the 8th of October, 2024. 8th of October, already the 8th of October, on a gorgeous, really gorgeous fall day, evening, well, night, I guess you'd say now since it's dark out already, here in the Commonwealth. We have been very blessed, I have to say, except for the occasional rain here and there. Pretty much since Labor Day weekend, we've had about 6 straight weeks of just really wonderful fall weather. It's been warm a few days, but not bad, not like oppressively warm. And it's been, the leaves are changing. It's generally speaking been dry, and when I mean dry, I mean not humid. We've had our share of rain. Probably could use even a little more rain than we've had, but it's just been fantastic here. It really has. It's been fantastic. And today was just another gorgeous day, and it's supposed to be pretty well nice around here through Saturday. Might see some rain on Sunday, but just a lovely, just a really lovely 6 weeks or so. Really, I mean, we've been very lucky. I'd like to let me get through the business end of the program. I guess I should do, and that is that you are watching and listening to TKE tonight, the Kennedy Effect tonight for the 8th of October, 2024, 8:05 Eastern Daylight Time. Not going to be daylight time for too much longer, folks, but Eastern Daylight Time here. We are with you and happy to be. As a matter of fact, we are live right now on the Facebook pages of Ghost Claw Productions. We are live on our home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. We are live on my particular Facebook, which is Jeff Kennedy, and we've shared the program to well over 60 places across the Facebook universe. I tend to share. I kind of go back and forth. Some nights I do all the political groups. Other nights I do all the internet radio group. Tonight is an internet radio group. night. So we have shared the program to, I think, 60, 70-ish, somewhat of places there. We're also live on the Facebook page of our Revolution Pennsylvania, as well as the TCP Media Group. And we're live on our YouTube channel, which is also called That Other Side of Information, live on our Twitch channel, Jeff R. Kennedy, live on our LinkedIn channel, which is Jeff Kennedy as well. The audio of the program, of course, blasting around the globe via GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, .live. Now, I saw George and Gilbert put up a very interesting thing during a just hot off the presses wrapped another exciting, thrilling 1950s Superman style episode of the Help Desk, able to leap tall computer towers in a single bound. And that is that you, if I'm right, George, our good folks can sign up to be testers of the GCPR app. Is that right? Or is that only for Help Desk viewers?
No, it's for it's for Android users only, to be beta testers for the GCPR app. That would be for any show.
Well, there you go, folks. If you have an Android device, and to be honest with you, why would you have an Android device?
You would have one because it does not give you the constraints of the iOS.
They are absolutely dreadful. Can we just be honest? They're
something that iOS users would say.
I have only, in the era of smartphones, I have only ever had an iPhone. My first iPhone, I think, was the iPhone 3, if I'm not mistaken.
I still have my iPhone 3. Yes, I still have my iPhone 3.
I have had experience with Android friends and family. The display, the functionality, all of it is just cumbersome. It's just functionally different. And frankly, I don't understand why anyone would have one, to be honest with you. It is also, I think, really interesting how differently the two systems work, considering that Android is based on the iPhone anyway. But that said, it's just very, very different. I find them but then, to be fair, my Android using friends will say the same thing to me. I can't believe you have an iPhone. Why would you ever have an iPhone? Because I just want the effing thing to work. I turn it on, it connects to everything by itself, it all fills itself in, and it's just ready to functionally use. And interestingly enough, the iPhone itself was a dreadful phone when it first came out. The actual functionality of the phone, it was a mini computer. And what you originally bought a mobile phone for was to stay in contact, which means speaking to people and things like that. And it was terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It's become an infinitely better phone. I know that some of my Android-loving friends will say that the Android is a better camera, it's a better computer, it's a better GPS, I just don't know that it's a better phone. But regardless of that, interesting little thing. If you are an Android user out there, go to our website, www.gcpr.live. The website and link is in the chat. Please check it out and you can sign up to be a tester. You can be a guinea pig in all the best ways. We'll feed you and give you a lovely habitat to crawl around in. We'll give you a big wheel, lots of wood chips at the bottom of the base of the aquarium, to test out our Android app. We are only in a testing phase. Don't get overly excited quite yet. But yet to follow, that would be, of course, the Apple
The iOS app.
iOS app, which we hope would be following that relatively soon. And listen, this has been no small effort. I've had absolutely nothing to do with it, which is probably why it will work, because I haven't touched it. I've had nothing to do with it. So it's exactly probably why it will work. But that said, if you've not listened to the help desk yet, first off, you should. Every Tuesday evening from 6 p.m. Eastern Time, George and Gilbert at the help desk. If you have computer questions, comments, if you want their opinions on operating systems, hardware, games, gaming chairs, laptops, desktop, you name it, anything surrounding the computing and information technology, these are the guys to talk to. And they've been writing our app for us. They've been teaching themselves how to write an app. And it's not a small effort. And but it's pretty cool. It's really cool when you have somebody on staff, so to speak, that can do such a thing by and for themselves. It's pretty freaking cool. And so I hope that you'll consider it, becoming part of the testing. And I have to tell you, I think as soon as the apps are functioning and functional, it's going to be a real game changer for our station and for our reach globally. Before I get into the political stories, I just wanted to offer, because I was talking about the weather, I just wanted to offer perhaps a bit of a lighter, like not so weighty story, a bit of a lighter story. And that is from a local news app right here in the Lehigh Valley called Lehigh Valley Live. And it's about being able to, with the naked eye, to view a comet that only comes past Earth every 80,000 years. That's 80,000 years. Every 80,000 years. Safe to say, folks, you and I will not be alive the next time it passes. It's not even like Halley's Comet every 86 years. This is every 80,000 years. And the peak viewing for that comet will be this week. Now, one of the things that I've been very proud about with the Kennedy Effect and with our new nightly program is that every now and then, we are not afraid to step back from politics. It is our bread and butter, let's be honest. With a last name like Kennedy, politics is pretty much going to be in the blood. And so is service, fighting for the little guy, so to speak. But I do like every now and then when we can just take a step back away from it and kind of look at other things. If you are familiar with our home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information, you will find articles there on human evolution, on the environment, on animal safety, welfare, and protection. You will find archaeological stories. We've posted some stories in the last few weeks about some bones that have been found from potentially even different species of human along our evolutionary trail. And I like to post articles about astronomy. And so I thought we would do something a little lighter than before we get too deep into the end of the pool. This is from Lehigh Valley Live. Beginning this week, mid-October, should be our best chance to view a comet not expected back for another 80,000 years, experts say. Discovered just last year. Another one of those exciting scientific names. C2023A3 Sichuan Atlas hails from the Oort cloud on the edge of our solar system far beyond Pluto. There is a series of bodies within the solar system. The center of our solar system, of course, is the sun. Then the planets, well, at least the inner rocky planets, Mercury, Venus, Terra, the Earth, and Mars. Then the asteroid belt, which there is some conjecture that the asteroid belt was simply a planet that never fully formed, although some astronomers would tell you that the volume of the asteroid belt is not even enough to make a body the size of the moon. I'm not sure I agree with that, but then again, I'm not a full-fledged astronomer. Then the gas giants, the realm of the gas giants. Jupiter, which is a star that failed. Actually, Jupiter was meant to be a star, but our sun took up too much material. Jupiter never got to a size where it could where its internal furnace could start the fusion process and become a star. But we were close to being a two-star solar system, which of course, is a binary star solar system, which of course there are many, the majority of stars across the universe are binary stars, in fact. Now, who knows what life would have ever evolved here if Jupiter had become a sun. There's an excellent chance that no life would have ever evolved here because it would have been too warm. Then Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and then you get into a section of the solar system called the Kuiper Belt, K-Y-P-E-R, I think so. No, K-U-Y-P-E-R, named after an astronomer. It is full of debris, essentially. Although Pluto itself, which was originally considered a planet, which is now considered a Kuiper Belt object, is round. It does have enough gravity to force itself to be round. The Kuiper Belt is also full of comets and other asteroids and debris and rocks and so on, and other Kuiper Belt objects which are in fact round and very planet-looking, and Kuiper Belt objects large enough that they have moons of their own. Even though Pluto is no longer considered a full-fledged planet, it is considered a Kuiper Belt object. And I am forgetting the name of the other body which is out there, which is perfect, which is cylindrical. I'm forgetting the name of it now, but it'll come to me at some point. Beyond the Kuiper Belt is something called the Oort cloud. And this is where most of the comets that pass through the inner solar system come from. Comets being largely space dirty snowballs. They are largely made of ice and powdered rock and small pebbled rock and debris and some iron. Asteroids are predominantly rock and metals, and comets are predominantly ice, dirty ice, water ice, sometimes nitrogen ice. And that is the Oort. Someone just asked, and I don't know who it was that asked. Beyond the Kuiper Belt is the Oort cloud, O-O-R-T, Oort, O-O-R-T, Oort cloud. So, sun at the center, planets around that, engulfing the solar system in a, I shouldn't say in a ring, completely engulfing the solar system 360 degrees, the Kuiper Belt, and then the Oort cloud completely surrounds that. These are distances from the sun where the sun looks little more than a point of light, but yet the gravity of the sun is enough to hold all of these things in place. And we're talking tens of millions of miles beyond Neptune and Uranus. So I think it's just neat. So you have a chance to look and see a comet. It's not something that we get to see every day. If we're lucky, we get to see a shooting star at night. Everybody grew up learning about Halley's Comet. I think the last time the Halley's Comet came through was 1986, I think. Somewhere in that area, the 86 range. But this is a chance to see a comet, and it's a very cool thing. And I think whenever you can look up at the heavens whenever you can look up at the stars, and you realize sometimes just how small we are. And that the dirt and dust and minerals and molecules that make up this comet are very many of the same things that make up us and that make up our planet. There is an astronomical theory that Earth was not originally formed with the amount of water that we have. That water came from comets in the early solar system. The solar system was much more full of debris and comets and unformed planets and planets that were formed and then collided with each other because of their intense gravitational pull, polarizing them from planets into just complete debris that was then sucked up by other planets. It is the prevailing theory on how our moon was formed is that Earth was grazed by a Mars-sized planet, and that the majority of that planet actually incorporated itself into the early Earth. The debris was held by the gravity of these two colliding bodies and eventually formed the moon. But I digress. I just think it's kind of a neat thing. And we're so heavy into this political season now, and everything is so terribly intense and so angry and so polarized that maybe sometimes the best thing we can do for our own brains and our own sense of being is to look up at the stars and realize how small we actually are. We are just one planet of 8 in just this solar system. There are as many stars in the Milky Way galaxy as there are grains of sand on this planet. There are as many galaxies in the universe as there are grains of sand on this planet. And even the most conservative astronomer would tell you that upwards of 2/3 of all the stars, I need to take a step back. 80+% of all the stars in the universe have planets, solar systems around them. And upwards of 2/3 of those planets are capable of supporting life. Anyway, let me just see what else I can find here really quick. NASA's Watch the Skies blog, something for you to look at if you hadn't been familiar with it. Quote unquote, Watch the Skies. It's a blog by NASA. And you know what's a shame too? I don't know if I should Google this quick if I can without ruining the rest of the program, because I'm terrible at looking things up when I'm on the air. The NASA channel is not broadcasting anymore, I don't believe, which I'm really unhappy about. I happen to really enjoy the NASA channel, but on my guide on my cable company here in the Lehigh Valley, it says that the channel no longer broadcasts. I desperately hope that's not true. I have a sort of have a feeling that it's just my cable company got rid of them, but I hope I'm not right about that. The blog revealed last week that the comet survived its closest transit past the sun, known as the perihelion, on September 27th. It was on track to come within its closest pass of Earth, 44 million miles away, on October 22nd. Of course, after full nightfall, look to the southwest, roughly only 10 degrees above the horizon, which is going to make that difficult viewing. I'm sure there will be people live streaming from better vantage points around the country, but anyway, I've spent a lot of time on it. I hope I'm not boring you, but I think it's kind of cool. Just think it's kind of a neat thing. And you know what? It's not politics, and every now and then we need a damn break from politics. We just do. It can't be every last thing that we do. So, anyway, let me get to some of the big stories of the day. If you checked out the header for the program, You will know that we ask two big questions tonight, and that is, why is there this media double standard for the two presidential candidates as Vice President Harris launches a very big media blitz? She visited The View and the Howard Stern show today. She did a recent podcast which tells you how terribly not tuned into the podcast world I am. It is apparently the second most listened to podcast on the planet. I've never heard of it, and I don't know the woman that hosts it. And the clips of it that I saw, I'm glad I've missed it. It's just not great. It just, the woman's in a giant oversized sweatshirt and pajama pants, and maybe that's part of the gig of it. I don't know, but it just wasn't good. But then again, listen, I would take 1% of the people. I think she averages 18 million or something people per episode. I would take 1% of that. So young lady is well and far beyond what we're doing here. But I can tell you just from the clips that I saw, I think I'm missing it. I think I'm kind of missing the point. But let's get, our header is, so why is there this double standard? Vice President Harris is on a big media blitz as she continues to be nitpicked for her media presence, for not just where she has chosen to go, but the amount of places she has chosen to go, and for her performance in each interview. All the way down to, she said too many times. Ooh, she hesitated to answer that one question. Ooh, it looked like there was a bit of an eye roll there. Meanwhile, Trump continues to go strictly to right-wing media and speak to people who are already going to vote for him. He's now even being fact-checked by Fox. Laura Ingraham, or Ingraham, which is really how it's spelled. I'm not sure why she doesn't pronounce it that way. It's her choice. I'm not here to pick. Who certainly has carried an awful lot of water for Trump as a primetime host on Fox News. Did a town hall with him where Trump continued to lie about the federal response to Hurricane Helene. And even Ingraham had to say to him, that's not accurate. The federal government has responded. In fact, Brian Kemp, the Republican governor of Georgia, has praised the Biden administration and the federal government's response. In fact, the response has been so overwhelming that FEMA is close to running out of money. It needs an act of Congress for further funding. But of course, the Christian nationalist fascist Republican Speaker Mike Johnson isn't going to bring Congress back until after the election. So FEMA may very well run out of money before that. Imagine being Trump and being fact-checked by Fox News live and in real time. When Fox starts to turn on you, you know something's wrong. But why is there this double standard? Why is Vice President Harris being nitpicked? First off, let me just say that it'll tell you that this right-wing myth of the so-called left-wing bias media, bullshit. There's only about 6 media companies left on the planet. I take that back. Not on the planet. I'm wrong. Shouldn't have said it that way. There's only about 6 major media companies left in the United States. There's nothing left-wing about it. These are major, enormous corporations. Some of the largest media corporations on the planet. There's a reason why when Trump killed net neutrality, You didn't really hear about it in major American media because these companies wanted net neutrality broken down. The Biden administration has since restored it. You probably didn't hear that either. The vice president has put herself out there to just about anybody willing to ask. And by the way, if anyone's listening and has a direct line into Vice President Harris, you're welcome here, man. Coach Walls, you're welcome here. I'm not holding my breath, but you're welcome here. So we're critiquing what she wears, how her hair looks, how long it might take her to answer a question, her being careful, as politicians should be, by the way, to choose the right wording to enunciate her answer. Meanwhile, Trump continues, if he's breathing, he's lying. But that's somehow okay. When we talked last night about no more playing nice, about being blunt and honest about what the right wing is ready for and preparing for, and I think somewhat hoping for, including violence, and lots of it. Did you hear as much about that in the media today as you did that the vice president said a couple of times when she was on The View? Vice President has made herself open and available. She has gone where the people are. Trump continues. Now, he did some interviews today. Did the Hugh Hewitt show, lied the entire time. Did Ben Shapiro, the slightly larger than Hobbit-like individual who continues to just spew right-wing shite that I don't even think that he believes, but he talks very, very fast and says pretty big words, so he somehow looks intelligent. And hey, I would take 1% of his audience too. I think I'd take 1% of the money he's bringing in. You can get paid a hell of a lot of money by lying. I just won't. And that, well, let me rethink my statement here. That actually makes me quite special. Although, trust me, I'm not. What it should make me is a normal American human being. That I want truth. That I want to purvey truth. That I want to have conversations. That I want to learn. That I'm not so egotistical as to not be corrected during my own program. That should all be normal. But sadly, in this sort of format, it's become that the norm is to lie. I could make a hell of a lot of money if I just sat here and lied to you all day. I just can't. Morals tell me better. And again, that doesn't make me special. It doesn't make me smarter than you. It doesn't make me better than you. But shouldn't that be the norm? To expect that if myself, George, Gilbert, Thomas, Gambit, Gretchen, Bob Kosh, Pastor Best, if we all put ourselves out there like this, that the absolute minimum that we should be able to convey to you is the truth. And yet you have an entire right-wing hate media machine that doesn't even do that. And yet they have 100 times, 1,000 times more of an audience than I do. And they're making 10,000 more times money than I'm making. If not 100,000 times, because we're not making money right now. So they make a buck, they're 100% out of pay. What a shame that lying and that sowing division and that hate and that calls, hopes, wishes for civil war, wishes for death and destruction became so profitable. Our other big story, of course, is there is yet another once-in-a-century hurricane headed for Florida. Category 5 Hurricane Milton is expected to hit the Florida west coast after crossing the Gulf of Mexico, leaving the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, heading toward Florida. It was bearing directly down on the city of Tampa. I was watching the Weather Channel a little bit before I came up to join you, and it looks like it might be sliding slightly south of Tampa. Not that Tampa's going to necessarily fare any better, but at least it might not be quite as bad. Storm surges are expected to be 20 feet, perhaps even more. Top wind speeds are 185 miles an hour. But yet again, another once-in-a-century hurricane. Seem to be having those once a year now, not once in a century. And how sad that the politics in this country has gotten so depraved when Vice President Harris, in her capacity as the sitting vice president, tried to contact Republican fascist dictatorial governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, to ask him how everything is going, what aid they may still need. He refused to speak to her. His denial of that phone call might very well cost lives. And DeSantis doesn't care. He'll be fine. He's wealthy. He's the governor of the state. He's backed, bought, owned, paid for in the pocket of billionaires. He'll be fine. But the people whose lives he may very well have sacrificed just for the sake of the optics of politics, I hope someone sues him. Someone asked earlier if the phone line is open. It is. Go for it. 267-227-9189. 267-227-9189. 267-227-9189. If you didn't hear me. Some comments. You think Vice President Harris is being treated because she's a woman? Not color, not ethnicity. Hillary Clinton went through the same. She sure did. What she wear? How could she govern if she was menstruating? Exciting. And that was actually a discussion. The mere fact that Harris is of a gender that is different than status quo and of yesteryear might be the real issue. I think that it's certainly part of it. Let's not discount the fact that she is a woman of color, and that Trump and the Trump Republican Party is now the party of hating anything that doesn't look at least as white or orange as he. Anything a little deeper than that orange, we're not so sure about you anymore. Think of the groups. Think of the groups that the Republican Party has pissed off and has isolated and removed itself from. Women are the majority in this country. I believe they're 54% of the population. So you've alienated now 54% of the population. That's not to say that that entire 54% is going to vote Democratic, but they've alienated over half the population by saying that you no longer have the right to decide anything about your own body. In fact, you should come out of the workplace. You shouldn't have bank accounts anymore. Shouldn't have jobs. Shouldn't have credit cards. Go back in the kitchen and give birth. They've isolated people of color. They've isolated anyone outside the two genders. They've isolated anyone who's not heterosexual. You're running out of people. How do you win an election that way? And why isn't it more of a story? I'm going to guess it's Randall And if I'm right, I win absolutely nothing other than 5 seconds to take a drink of water. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, it's Randall.
I was right.
Take a drink. Yeah.
I was right. I get to take a drink of water.
You still haven't figured out how to show our names other than Facebook user on your side, but that's okay.
Here's what's here. I'll give you a quick update, and then I will let you take over. Nothing technologically with this program is going to get any better before the end of this year, period. In fact, I expect it to get worse, little pieces at a time. I need a brand new computer. I need $2,500 worth of equipment. I don't have $2.50 to put toward that $2,500 worth of equipment. I am already thousands of dollars behind in medical bills, and we're getting married. This is just how it's going to be, at least until sometime in January of 2025. Period. That's it. I got nothing else for you. And I absolutely refuse to ask you all. I'm not going to do a GoFundMe or any of that BS. It's unseemly. I just think it's unseemly. Either I can put the money in or I can't. So that's kind of it. It's why I have to now share this feed to my own Facebook and to the group instead of broadcast directly to it, because the program that I'm running is slowly degrading and shutting down and not being able to run on this computer. So this is going to just be, it just is what it is, at least until after the holidays, until the new year. And who knows? If Trump should happen to win this election, it won't matter, because we'll get shut down and taken off the air, and maybe we can hang out together around a barrel of burning scrap wood in a detention camp somewhere together, and we can talk there. So go.
Yeah, that's true. If he wins, we know the men in black will be picking us up sometime between 3 and 4 a.m. And I've warned my whole family. I said, if he wins on one night, you're not going to ever see me again. Absolutely. Getting back to DeSantis, he's a joke, like all of them are. He goes on and he says, I guarantee, well, he didn't say guarantee, but he says, I will get all the emergency gas to stations so you can evacuate. And here we are. 98% of the gas stations in Florida, no gas. People are running at, you got 30 miles long. People trying to escape on the interstates. And they're running out of gas because they can't get gas. Stations all along the evacuation routes are empty. His empty promise is going to kill people.
Let's remember as well, Project 2025 calls for very major defunding and scaling down of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, which is the National Hurricane Center. It calls for the elimination of FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, and says it should be privatized. Could you imagine a privatized FEMA? Let's say you had to go onto your Amazon app to register for emergency supplies. How do you think that'll go? Project 2025 eliminates hurricane response in this and response, and I'm blanking on the word, rescue and supplies and all of it. I'm blanking on the right word for whatever reason. It all goes away, or, and I think even worse, becomes privatized. Project 2025 calls for the elimination of the federal flood insurance program. The largest insurer against flood damage in this country is the federal government, because private insurance companies won't give the policies anymore because they lose too much money. Project 2025 calls for the elimination of national flood insurance. But here's the rub that I'd like to know what you think, sir. At some point, now look, I'm not trying to say that anybody deserves what's coming. Maybe we do as humans deserve what's coming because we're the ones changing the atmosphere and the environment of the planet. But the people of Florida, sometimes you get exactly the government you voted for. Sometimes you get exactly the government you deserve. You sent Ron DeSantis back for a second term, and now you're going to suffer for it. When do you wake up and make a change? And who knows how much voting will actually be able to be done in Florida in 3 weeks. The damage could still be so substantial that how many people will actually be able to vote in person a month from now? Time to look in the mirror. Go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Yeah, and the same thing's is definitely going to happen in Western North Carolina and in Eastern Tennessee, and maybe in northern Georgia, because most people don't realize northern Georgia is where the Appalachian mountain chain of different, Appalachians go to up to Maine, and northern Georgia is almost had the same situation. Obviously, not quite as bad because they didn't get as much rain as all the mountain valleys, all the hollers in Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, Southwestern Virginia. I got one of my closest friends from graduated with at Warren Wilson College in Swannanoa, and he retired there. And I've got 45 friends in that whole area that have all checked in that they are safe, their families are safe. Thank you, Lord. Unlike all these, they continue the search and rescue through FEMA and local sheriff's departments and local fire departments. They continue to find bodies up in the hollers. Where it's just a 1-lane gravel road going up miles, and there's just trees down every couple of feet along the routes. And here we are coming up on the worst hurricane to ever hit Florida from the Gulf side. And the worst in over 100 years that's going to hit Tampa. And meanwhile, what's happened in the last 100 years? It's all been developed. It's all been housing built and businesses built. And it's I just pray every day. That's all I can do is pray every day. That God will somehow help. I'm frustrated. And I'm there's one other thing about FEMA. And this goes back to the Trump administration in 2017. when the Republicans controlled the House and they controlled the Senate. And it started then. FEMA was projecting increased responses were going to have to happen for worse natural wildfires, for worse tornadoes, for worse hurricanes, and they are an extreme personnel deficiency right now. They need like 30,000 more employees on the ground to be, or to be able to call up for on the ground. And Congress has failed to do that. These emergency bills that were put through, like for Hurricane Sandy, for example, they did not include budgetary increase of personnel. That's a big problem. Go ahead, Jeff.
Again, at the risk of being repetitive, it's all you need to do is look at Project 2025.
I'll let you go.
It dismantles all of this. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for being patient. It dismantles all of this. And worse, believe it or not, I think actually worse than providing no relief or help at all, it privatizes it. Imagine privatizing the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, to which if you are in Tampa and you are relying on news from NOAA and the National Hurricane Center, it becomes a paid subscription service. Can you imagine? Imagine being in Western North Carolina and the Amazon trucks roll in because hurricane relief has been privatized. And before you're allowed to get clean drinking water, food, maybe a cot to sleep in and a shelter, an opportunity to take a shower, some fresh clothes, your Amazon subscription is checked first. Oh, you owe us some money, turns out. You gave a bad review to a package that we sent to you a couple months ago. You do order a lot of stuff from us, but you also return an awful lot of stuff. Well, maybe we won't give you a whole case of water. We'll give you a couple of bottles. Or you don't have a full and unlimited Prime subscription. You have kind of a lower tiered subscription. So I know it's mom, dad, 2.5 kids, dog, and cat. First off, dogs and cats aren't profitable. They can't stay with you. But we don't think you qualify for 3 cots, so maybe the 4 of you could share one? That's even if any relief would be provided at all. And if you want to look, if you ever need to kind of see what this libertarian fantasy would look like, look at Somalia. Have a look at Somalia over the last maybe 30 years. Look at Iraq after George W. Bush and Dick Cheney's illegal second invasion following September 11th. Where the government was completely dismantled. The Iraqi military was sent home with their weapons. And folks were pretty much left on their own to figure it out while American corporations took the oil fields. We know what this looks like. And we need to know better. We need to do better. Our plan is to be back with you tomorrow night. We're actually going to have a guest. Our first, no, I guess he's not really the first weeknight guest. T. Nathan has come in. Cole Goodman's come in. No, Cole didn't come in on a weeknight. We've had some weeknight folks pop in, but this will be our first proper guest coming in for our weeknight program. Our guest tomorrow, our scheduled guest tomorrow, I should say that very plainly because life happens, is Joe Lenzi. Joe is the Democratic nominee and candidate for the Pennsylvania House of Representatives from the 183rd District. That district happens to be the westernmost parts of Northampton County, like Northampton Borough and Lehigh Township around there, into some of the northeastern parts of Lehigh County. He's running against a long-term incumbent named Zach Mako. Joe, I happen to know Joe a little bit. I don't know him super well. He's just a good man. And I think Joe himself would probably tell you that. Is he extraordinary? Is he is he the top 1% of human beings on the planet? Does he have superpowers? Is he a gold medalist or a world champion in anything? No. He just works for a living. He's a regular blue-collar guy. He's a family man. He's a good and decent human being. He's trying to take that to the Pennsylvania State House. Let me remind all of you, listening on GCPR and watching anywhere around the United States, if you are a candidate anywhere in the U.S. for state or federal level office, you are welcome here for a free interview. Free meaning that after it's over, take the video of the program and use it for your campaign. And that means from either party. Republicans, you're welcome here to be interviewed too. You will be treated with respect. I will ask you tough questions. You're damn straight. But there will be no name calling. We will not yell and scream. We'll have a discussion with each other like Americans are supposed to. George, anything you want to throw in there, sir, before we say goodnight? I know you were yawning, so you must be terribly excited about it.
I'm so sorry. I was just tired from the help desk. I'm sorry.
Anything you need to throw in before that?
No, just the abhorrent video of Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson.
Well, remind me. Let's get to that tomorrow. I'm not even sure what it is that you're referring to, but I did have this very quick passing thought, and we are up against it. I don't think anybody's actually going after us, but I'm not going to make a habit out of being late like this. Yeah, it's Tuesday. There's actually nobody on. But that said, I'm not going to make a habit of doing 9:30, 10 o'clock and shit when nobody's on after us. I got to stop that. I have to sleep. Elon Musk was on the stage with Trump this past Saturday in Butler. Musk is worth well over $200 billion. He just signed a compensation package with Tesla, one of his own companies, for $44 billion over 10 years. He is putting tens of millions of dollars into the Trump campaign per month. Let me leave you with this question. Why do you suppose he's doing that? Because he genuinely believes in the Trump platform? The Republican National Committee doesn't have a platform. Because he thinks Trump is a great leader? Maybe. Billionaires invest money when they think they're going to make more money. Mr. Musk wants a tax cut. He doesn't think he should pay taxes at all, period. He thinks he's better than you. Thinks he doesn't need to contribute to this society. He thinks his greatest business expense are the very people that work for him and built his companies. Think about that tonight before we reconvene tomorrow. For everyone at GCPR, remember to check out the website. If you're an Android user, you can sign up to be a beta tester for the new GCPR Android app. www.gcpr.live. GCPR.live. Coming up from 11 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, Conversations with T. Nathan. Thomas returns tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. The Sound of Coffee. And we will be back tomorrow evening from 8 p.m. Joe Lenzi, Democratic candidate for the Pennsylvania State House of Representatives in the 183rd District, will be with us tomorrow, scheduled to be with us tomorrow evening. I have to always say scheduled because you just never know. He could be on his way home from work and get a flat tire and miss the show. Life happens. So that's our schedule for the next 23-ish hours or so. For everybody surrounding GCPR, that's Thomas and T. Nathan and Gilbert and Gambit and Gretchen and Bob Kosh and Pastor Best and Ben and Brett and Solid Blue Sister and Cole Goodman and Simon and Professor Chuck. I think I got everybody, which is pretty extraordinary. For everybody surrounding TKE tonight in the Kennedy Effect, that's Lynn and George, Kristen, Daisy the dog, April Riddick. I am Jeff Kennedy. We've done about all the damage we can do for one evening. T. Nathan from 11, Thomas 8 in the morning. We are back at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other. Have a wonderful night. Take a break, walk the dog, get some cookies. T. Nathan in just under 2 hours. GCPR.live.